Alright everybody, so we're here to play a game of Legends of Novus, and our hero of the day is going to be Shandrill, the Priestess of Braille. You'll notice on the bottom right, this time around, we have the location guide, so I may flip through that from time to time to highlight where we are in the map. I'm not going to add any special effects. Well, maybe I'll throw in something minor, but no close-up of cards and whatnot. That'll just be in-game. When I hold the Alt key, you'll be able to see things zoom up a bit. But beyond that, it'll just be the regular Tabletop Simulator gameplay here. And you'll see we're using all the latest updated graphics for the game, so when I play the real play tests, we're not seeing all these fancy graphics, but for Tabletop Simulator, we're able to import those. So these are the actual graphics that will be in the final version of the game, from everything from the advanced class cards to the coins, to the reward cards, the adventure cards, and the encounter cards. So as we go through the game, you'll see all that in all its glory. So to start with, when we set up the game, we play our character sheet in front of the board, get our dice, our decks. We're going to shuffle these up so you know it's a completely random game, playing single player Legends of Novus. We're playing with this fancy turn tracker here, a digital one that comes with Tabletop Simulator. So at the end of each turn we're going to plus the button, and if we don't defeat 3 quest creatures by the time we hit our 15th turn, we're not a Legend of Novus, and if we don't beat them by our 20th turn, then we lose the game. So the goal in solo play is to try to defeat 3 of these quest creatures before they destroy huge parts of the world. And as you've seen in other videos, the world of Novus is a pretty in-depth place. There's all kinds of areas that you can go to, and we've upgraded the map now, so any of the red dots are the giant quest creatures of the world. This little symbol here is the city icon, and encounter icon is if you explore, you are going to have an encounter in that location. And there's class places, so for the city of Braille, for example, that's my cleric class location. I get a little bonus from going there. And some locations have this little travel icon. That means that if you travel through it, then something could happen to you, so you have to look that up in the guide as well. Alright, so we're going to start off the game. When you start Legends of Novus, you start by drawing an adventure card, or sorry, a reward card and an adventure card. So in this case we've drawn a encounter card and a pair of leather bracers. And then we start our turn, or get 10 gold pieces as well. So we'll plop that over here. So I'm going to start by, in my preparation phase, equipping these leather braces. It doesn't have any class restriction, otherwise you would see that on the right hand side of the card. And I can have an additional hand item equipped later on. So I'm going to put this onto the hand slot of my character. And that will immediately give me a +1 combat bonus. So move this over. I now have a +4 to my combat. And you'll see this tracker, when used in the physical version of the game, will be a dual layer cardboard booklet that folds in half when you're not using it, and folds into an 11 by 17 when you are. So there you go. Alright, so I've got some equipment. I'm going to spend my first turn by exploring this location. So when you explore Vase City, we'll just pull it up on the little guidebook here. This is alphabetized right now. This is going to get a revamp, by the way. This one is the original prototype version of the exploration location guide. So Vase City, when I sell an item in Vase City, I get an extra 5 gold pieces for each item sold. I'm not going to be selling anything, so it doesn't really apply to right now, but I just wanted to make sure you saw how we use that location guide. So when I explore here, there's no real benefit to that, but you will draw an adventure card. If it was an encounter card, I would fight it. It's not. It's travel plans, so that might help me later in the game. And then I can choose as my second part of the adventure phase to play an encounter, draw an adventure, or draw a reward card. And we're going to draw a reward card right now because we're really early in the game and we want to gain a little bit of power to be able to survive some of the battles. So we've drawn a short sword, a one-handed weapon. If I'm a fighter, I'd get an extra bonus, but I'm not. So during my end step, or my recovery phase, I will equip that sword and move up another combat. So I'm now up to a +5 combat, which is a fair number in the early part of the game. And that will bring me to the end of the turn. Alright, so if we look here, you can only explore a location once before you have to travel, so that you can't just spend your half the game sitting in a city building your power. You have to dare to travel. So I'm going to make a little trip to down south here. 1 step and 2 steps. So when you travel the world of Novus, you roll this travel die. So travel die has a few sides, and if you've watched the game in the past, you'll see that there's 2 encounter sides, there's a safe travel side, an adventure side, and a reward side. So whatever you roll in the dice, that's what happens to you, but you always get to move 2 map markers. So we're going to roll this die. We've got safe travels. When we have safe travels, we gain 10 coins, or a silver piece if you will, and so that brings me up to 20 coins now. Coins can be used for gaining experience in the game, and also for trading in for cards. So coins have multi-purpose in the game. Alright, so we safely traveled to a black dot. A black dot is kind of like a waypoint, so I have to stop on the way to get to Braille, but nothing happened to me. So that is the end of turn 2. Moving on, we're on to turn 3. So I'm going to keep on traveling and go to my home city of Braille. When a class goes to their home city, so that icon matches the icon on the character sheet, that person will gain 2 experience and a reward card if it's the first time that they've done it this game. But first I have to get there, and to get there I have to roll this travel die. So I have safe travels again, so nothing exciting happens along the way other than gaining 10 gold pieces. And again, like I said, actually we'll look at the travel guide so you can see how that looks. And we're looking for the city of Braille. So alphabetized, go back to the first page, and you will see Braille, the city of believers, is, first time I visit this location, if I'm a priest, I gain 2 experience and 1 reward. If I was cursed, I could also pay to remove curses, but thankfully I'm not, and as a priest I can't be cursed anyway. So I arrived there safely, got my 10 gold. I'll gain 2 experience on my XP tracker. Sorry, I was supposed to start at 3, so I'm up to 5 now. And when you're at 5 XP, there's no significant bonus. I already had my +1 earlier. So once we get more XP, we'll gain in combat value, which will help us with these epic fights that we have to fight later on. Alright, so nothing else to do this turn. That's the end of turn 3. So I now have 30 coins, and I'm going to redeem those. I'm not going to save them for experience, because in solo play I think it's more valuable to find the equipment that you need to actually fight the bad guys. So we're going to draw this card. We found some Trickster's coins. That doesn't do a priest very much good, so unfortunately that was a bad buy, but that does happen from time to time. I'm not going to explore here. I want to try to gain some experience, so I'm going to travel back the way I came from and roll the travel die. We have an encounter. So when you have an encounter, you take the top card of the encounter deck, flip it over, and that's the creature that you get to fight. So in this case, the feral wolf is going to be a 3 attack value, and if I didn't have a weapon, it would get a bonus 1 attack value. It'll be worth 1 reward and 1 experience point. So I think that's one that I'm willing to battle. When you battle a creature, first you trigger its special ability. In this case, it doesn't really have one, it just has a static ability. And then the 2 of us will roll our combat dice. I could choose to run away at this point, and you have to roll a 6 or higher on a d10 to run away. If you do, just basically ends your turn. But I am going to fight this guy. So he rolls, I roll. The wolf adds their attack value of +3, so 5 plus 3 is 8, and I have 7 plus my 5, which is 12, so I've defeated the wolf. When I defeat that wolf, first thing I do is gain that book value, which is my experience, so up by 1 there, and then I gain the reward card, so I will draw that into my hand. Once you've done that, then the creature is defeated and goes into the creature discard pile, which we'll just place over here. And so what we earned was a potion of strength. That's a really good one to have when you're fighting quest battles, so I'm glad to have found that one. And I go to my recovery phase. Recovery phase, I will equip this potion for later. It's a one-time use card you'll see on there, and gives me a +5 combat when I use it. Also keep in mind I did get to 6 XP, and when I do that my modifier for combat goes from a +1 to a +2. So we'll move that over, and Shandrill's becoming a bit stronger here as we finish off our 4th turn. I'm just going to take a look at this travel plans. I can play this event during my recovery phase, and I can move up to 3 locations away. So I'm not going to use that right now, but I just wanted to show you that I did have that. Alright, we're going to move up 1 map marker, and I'm just going to the Abandoned Wastelands as my next action. So roll this travel die. We have safe travels, so nothing exciting there. Get my 10 gold and end my 5th turn. So why did I go to the Abandoned Wastelands? I'll show you here, knowing what the game is involved in. The Abandoned Wastelands is a place where I know I can find undead creatures. That's why it has the cross-sword symbol directly on the map. So when you go here, if you explore, instead of their usual explore effect, you automatically just fight the first undead you come across in the deck. So you don't have any chance to get to special events, but you do have a good opportunity for fighting. So we'll flip over cards in the deck till we find an undead. And oops, we'll just pull these cards over. There we go. Then the rest of the cards go back in the deck. We flip it back over, we'll shuffle that deck, and the card we're going to battle is a zombie horde. So zombie horde is undead. As you saw from the location guide, they actually get a +2 to their attack, so they're going to be a 7 attack value. But they'll be worth an experience and another reward and some coins. So as Shandrill, I also gain a +3 against undead. So if you take my total combat, I'm going to have my 6 plus 3, I'm going to have a +9 versus the zombie horde's +7. So basically a net +2 for me. Whatever I roll will be 2 higher than my actual die, and whatever the zombie rolls will stay their die. I find that's an easier way than both of us adding our values. So if I did lose to the zombie horde, then I would get cursed, and if I got cursed, that's a permanent effect in the game that would go on the skill portion of my character sheet. But let's hope that doesn't happen. So I'm going to have a +2 to this result. So the zombie has 2, I have 6 plus 2 is 8. So I've defeated the zombie horde. The zombie horde will give me 1 experience point, and then I'll get 5 coins, which is a copper piece, and I'll get 1 reward card. So we'll draw that into my hand. And then the zombie's been defeated, put that in the discard pile. And what did we come across? A spirit hammer, usable by a priest only, so thankfully we're a priest class. That hammer is going to smite some bad guys in the future here. And it's a 2-handed weapon, so in order to equip that, I have to have 2 hands free. Like we mentioned earlier, these leather braces allow me to have an additional hand equipped, so it still lets me have a 2-handed weapon, but I have to put this sword back in my hand. I can't have a sword in one hand and a 2-handed weapon in my 2 hands. So we're going to my recovery phase. I will put the sword in my hand and pump this guy on the table. So this spirit hammer gives me a +3 attack. So instead of my +1, I'm going to gain 2 more, so I'm up to a +8 for my combat modifier now. And so yeah, you can see the track goes along, maxing out at +30. And I have seen it get that high. It doesn't happen often, but it can happen. So if I were in a city, I could sell this sword if I wanted to, but I'm not in a city. We're at the abandoned wastelands. So at some point I'll sell that. Card restriction, you can never have more than 5 cards in your hand at the end of a turn, but we're not at that point yet, so we're still safe. Alright, so end of turn 6. Not quite halfway through the game, got a bit of experience built up, got some decent equipment to start off the game, so now I have to start making decisions. How soon do I want to risk battling one of these mighty quest creatures? And they're all over the side of the board here. So again, solo play, you have to play a bit more aggressively than group play. If you're playing player versus player or group play, you have to be a bit more cautious, because if you get defeated, it's a huge setback. In solo play, time is your real enemy, because these guys are really destroying the world and your goal is to stop them. So I think we are going to make a trip. Let's take a look here. The Krager Beast will, non-magical weapons don't have a combat bonus, and oops, sorry about that. And when you fight them, you roll a d10 and you're impacted by the weather for that battle. That's because they're way down here in the crystal caves. The jungle worm is a little bit weaker, but at the same time, if you lose a roll to it, you get spit out. I'm gonna travel over to the Tropic Seldalme area. 1, 2, actually I'm just gonna travel 1 for the first. Stop in Vase City, sell some stuff, knowing that I can get to the tropics on my next turn with a 2-step. So let's roll this travel die. Encounter. Fight a random encounter. Flip this guy over, and we have come across the Stone Sentinel. Non-magical weapons and armor don't apply their combat bonus. So when it says non-magical, it's referring to my leather bracers and my spirit hammer. Actually, my spirit hammer you'll see is blue, and that means it is a magical weapon. So I'm still going to get that bonus, but I won't get that bonus. So instead of being a +8, I'd be a +7 against this guy, which is not terrible. He is a +8, so I think I stand a chance at defeating this guy. So right now we're going to say that the red die is going to get a +1, and I'll get nothing added to my die because he's 1 higher than I am. And if the battle goes Ari, I may just drink this potion to survive the battle, or activate Chandrill's ability, which gives me a defensive ward. But we'll just roll and see what happens first. Oi, so our friend Stone Sentinel has a 11 compared to our roll of 4. So, like I said, 10 plus 1 is 11, and I keep my roll at 4. So a 7-point difference. How am I going to defeat this Stone Sentinel? Well, I've got a potion of strength I could drink up. That'll give me a +5, so that would bring me up to 9. Still not enough to beat his 11, but then I could trigger my defense ward, giving me another +2. That would bring me up to 11, and I just wouldn't get any victory spoils, which means I wouldn't get the 2 rewards. But I would get the 3 experience, and then I wouldn't have to destroy my 2 equipment, which would be pretty devastating at this point of the game. So I will activate my ability, my defensive ward. I'll gain +2 to my combat rolls. I'm going to chug this potion. Chug, chug, chug. And so now I am tied at 11, and the player always wins ties, so just barely scrape by a defeat against the Stone Sentinel and don't get their victory reward. All I get is the actual experience points. So I'm going to gain those experience points, 1, 2, 3. Don't have to destroy any equipment, and that is the defeat of the Stone Sentinel. Turn's not quite over though yet. I have made it to Vase City. When I get to Vase City, I can choose to sell items. So I'm going to sell these Trickster's coins for 5, but because I'm in Vase City, as you might have remembered from earlier, I'll get a bonus 5, so I'm actually going to get 10 coins for that sell. And I'm going to upgrade my character. So in Legends of Novus, when you achieve 10 experience points, then you get to advance your class. So instead of staying as a standard priest, I can choose any advanced class card. My apologies, when I zoom they show up sideways here. I can choose any class card that has the priest symbol. So make it easier, I'm just going to zoom in here. So if it doesn't have the priest symbol, it's not an option for me. So we'll just pop these to the side here. Whoops. Technical difficulties. So if you hold click too long, it lifts the whole thing up. So we have a choice of a spiritual saint, which is a druid priest combination. We'll pop that over here as an option, let you see them all. We have a, that's my priest card. Mage monk is another option. Perfect paladin is another option, and nefarious necromancer is another option. So the rest of these, mage monk I have duplicated. All right, so we'll scroll over here. These are the 4 options I have to become, and my choice on what to become may depend on the equipment I have now, what adventure cards I might have in my hand, or events, or where I wanted to battle next. So if we look at the mage monk, can't have any armor items equipped, I'd lose my leather braces, but I would get quite a bit of bonus for all my empty squares. So Mage Monk is a pretty decent card. Spiritual Saint would get me a Pegasus ally and plus travel. Travel is, +1 travel. Travel is really good in solo mode as well, get you around the board faster. Perfect Paladin is really good against quest creatures because you automatically win the first round, making them just like a normal battle, amongst other abilities. And then the Necromancer lets you dig into the creature discard pile to bring back a creature to become your ally. We're going to try the Nefarious Necromancer. I haven't played with that on solo play before, so test this puppy out. Get all these pushed to the side here. So Nefarious Necromancer gives me a +1 to my combat above and beyond the one I already had, so I'm up to a 9 now. And what it says here is if I get cursed, the curse card has the opposite effect. So I'm not cursed right now, that doesn't apply, but later on that might. Once per turn I can choose a card from my hand and draw another card from the same type from that card's discard pile. And then if I use it, it would get removed from the game. Help prevent me from reusing things like potions over and over. And then my real special ability is Animate Dead. I could discard all 3 cards in my hand to animate a creature from the encounter discard pile and turn it into an undead ally of mine. And I can only have one of those and play at any time. So if we look here, thankfully I just defeated a pretty powerful creature. And to me, I think it's worth sacrificing all 3 of these to get a permanent +8 bonus to my combat, because that will make me a huge force to be reckoned with. So even though I love having encounters and travel plans, we're going to make a decision here and just get rid of these things. 1, 2, 3, and raise the dead. So the Stone Sentinel goes into my item slot as an undead ally, and I don't get any of those bonuses, I just get the +8. So if we go from 9, +8 brings me to a 17 combat, which when you look around the board really puts me on par to defeat some of these quest creatures that we haven't had a chance to fight yet. Alright, that's a lot of talk, but that was an important round because we defeated a major creature, got the experience for it, and then were able to animate it, really enhancing my power in 1 turn. So turn 7 comes to an end. Okay, on to turn 8. Time to put this hammer and Stone Sentinel to use. We need to travel to these red dots and start taking care of some action. We will, not a lot of experience yet, so some of these creatures are going to be painful. Let's travel down to the Forest of Delusion, where Sistos, the scorpion spider, resides. So So the Scorpion Spider has a viscous strike, and they're going to try to destroy one of my equipped reward cards, but I get to choose it, thankfully. And when I roll for combat, I roll the lower of 2 dice. But I think I still have a chance. It's a plus 15, I have a plus 17, and we'll see. Got to take a risk here. So anyway, I'm not there yet though. I just traveled, so I got to roll my travel die. I rolled an encounter, so we'll flip over the top card of the encounter deck, and we fight at a skeletal knight. Now that I'm a necromancer, I no longer get a bonus against undead creatures, but that's because I already became stronger and have undead of my own. So skeletal knight, I don't have a bladed weapon, so its activated ability or triggered ability has no effect, and it just has a +3 to their combat. Compared to my plus 17, I've grown so powerful that things like skeletons are not really a challenge, unless I roll a 1, in which case it's a critical fail. Like right now. Critical fail can only happen to players, and it doesn't matter that I have however many more points than the skeleton. It just means I had a really bad situation and had to get away from them. So I was defeated, and I lose an experience point. Nothing else happens in this case, but some creatures will cause you to discard cards or destroy equipment. Just lost to a skeleton. It's a bad thing for a necromancer to do. Shameful defeat. Alright, so we are safely at the Forest of Delusion, and turn 8 comes to an end. So, Forest of Delusion, I would have had +2, but that wouldn't have mattered. I could destroy my hammer to prevent the effects of a defeat to myself, so that may come into play when we battle Sistos here. So here we are, we're going to battle Sistos. When we battle Sistos, this is what I'm doing for my 9th turn, by the way, is exploring to fight Sistos. When we fight Sistos, I must suffer a viscous strike, and if you see that little die symbol, a D10 action die symbol next to viscous strike, it means that I automatically have to roll an action die when I face this creature. When I do, I'm going to add my XP, and if the result is less than 25, I have to destroy an equipped reward card. So if you remember, my XP is at 9, so I'm going to roll this, and if I'm going to add my 9. So 6 plus 9 is 15. Actually, I couldn't possibly get 25, so I knew that these were going to get destroyed. But we're just showing you how battle works against these tough guys in the world, so you get to see firsthand that viscous strike is painful, and that is gone now. So then we're going to get into the combat side of things. Just to make sure all the math is right, we're going to reassess my combat total. So just pick this right up, remove it, and go start from square one. And it's suggested in the rules that you do this from time to time. So my base combat is 1. I have a +1 there, so that brings my combat to 2 for just my base cards. Then my experience is 9 if we refer to the XP chart. You'll see that I get an additional +2 because my XP is between 6 and 10. So 1, 2. My Stone Sentinel gives me additional 8, so I go up to 12. And then my Spirit Hammer gives me an additional 3. So 1, 2, 3. So I have a +15 to my combat right now, and I don't have any other triggered effects going on. So I'm playing +15 against Sistos +15. So it's actually very even battle. The problem here is that I must roll 2 dice for my combat roll, and I take the lower number. So Sistos has a real advantage, but you never know what can happen. Sistos could roll a 1, for example. Sorry, I picked up my entire character sheet. So Sistos we're going to roll first. Sistos has a 1. See? Wow, look at that. So I rolled twice, and as long as I don't roll a 1 on one of those rolls, that means I've defeated him in the first round of battle. So I rolled a 4 and a 7. So that is strike 1 against Sistos. In quest creature battles, you must battle the best of 3 rounds. So we're on to round 2. Sistos has a 4. I have either an 8 or a 7. Either way, I've defeated the 4. So I took a risk, gambled, and that gamble has paid off in the form of a victory against Sistos. So Sistos will come to the side here. by the way, these cards aren't that big in the real game. These will be 5" by 5" tiles. We'll just reduce that to kind of show it a bit more to scale. But they're still a nice looking size to show off the art and the power of these creatures. When I defeat Sistos, I gain 4 experience points, as you see on the little book there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Back up to 13. Now you may have noticed earlier I did not go off advanced class when I went below 10 XP, because that's a complication of the game that we don't need. So the game rule reads that once you become an advanced class, you don't downgrade once you're back less than 10. Going back to Sistos, I gain 3 reward cards, and so that's his other benefit. So we'll go to the rewards deck, draw, draw, and draw. We've got 3 new rewards to help us. Some electrical gauntlets, Staff of the Maelstrom, which is usable only by wizards, and a scroll of summoning. Just going to show you something here. Sorry, we're going to go to the Forest Delusion just so you know what I was doing there. The Forest Delusion, that's what told me I battled Sistos, so you can look at that while I finish rewards. Okay, so I can equip these gauntlets. No, I cannot, because I'm using a two-handed weapon. So if I use these, I'd be breaking the game rules, because there's nothing on these gauntlets that allows you to have an extra weapon item equipped. And that's because you're using the gauntlets regularly. And the staff I can't equip, and the scroll of summoning I can. So I'm on my recovery phase now. I can play the scroll of summoning, and then I can use it right away. I can use it at my next recovery phase to gain an animal ally. Gotta read my own cards. So that is equipped. I put that to use next turn, and these I can't do much with, other than sell them or discard them if I ever lost my undead ally. Alright, turn 9 comes to an end. 6 turns to go, 1 quest creature defeated, 2 more to defeat in the next few turns. Let's see what we can do to find someone else. I don't have a travel bonus, so traveling across this world does take some time. So that means that if I want to win this game within the next 7 turns, let's see, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, so it would take me 3 turns to get to the demonic temple, a 4th turn to fight it, 5, 6, yeah, I have a chance. So I could have either gone south or I can go west. I'm going to make the trip west because I've fought, in prior games I've fought these 2 before. I want to show you what it's like to defeat these 2, if possible, in time. You see, I could have gone north to Skull Rock Island, but considering there's no other quest there right now, I don't see me winning the game as a Legend of Novus if I go that way. So we're going to travel 1, 2 map locations, roll the travel die, safe travels, so we'll gain 10, oops, not that many, just a silver piece. So we're now up to 35 coins, and we're on to my recovery phase. On my recovery phase, I'm going to use this scroll of summoning. Alright, scroll of summoning to gain a basic animal ally. So what happens is I discard that, and I get this animal ally onto my card. So this one has not been upgraded to the new style yet, but it will be. But it just basically gives me a 2 combat. So that'll bring me up to 17, which makes me just a little bit tougher when I go to fight the demon. And then I'm on the end of my turn. At the end of my turn, I don't have 50 gold, so I still can't gain any free experience. So at the beginning of my next turn, I'm going to cash in. So we're on to the 11th turn. I'm going to spend 25 as a purchase action. Again, on the beginning of each turn, you can purchase 1 adventure or reward card for 25 gold, no matter where you are. So I'm going to purchase an adventure card. Let's see what I get. So I found a hunting lance. Look at that. It gives me plus 10 against dragon and monstrosity creatures when I use it. That's an event. So that if I was fighting the dragon, which I possibly could in this game, That would be something useful for that. I was hoping to find a plus travel card and did not, so it's all about exact movement now. Okay, so that was the end of turn 10. Oh, I can't remember if I plussed that already now. No, not yet. So that's the end of turn 11. So we're going to be on to turn 12. Turn 12, 1, 2. Going to roll this travel die. We have an encounter. Going to fight an encounter. Flips this top card over. We have found the Roaming Cyclops. Roaming Cyclops. I'm not going to read through it all right now. Some gorgeous art by Andrea Butera there. I really love that single-eyed spider-like creature. Very chitness. So it says, each reward card I have equipped with a bonus is reduced to a bonus of 1 against him. So what that means, if you take a zoom, this guy is worth only 1 instead of 8, this guy is worth 1 instead of 2, and this is worth 1 instead of 3. So really my combat bonus I have to recalculate for this battle, because he devastates my abilities. So as we know from my experience, I'm sitting at 13 experience. So 13 experience gives me +3, and then I have my +2 for my cards, so that's 5, 6, 7, 8 is my total combat bonus. 8 against 7, this guy really could defeat me. If he defeats me, I get cursed. So roll for him, roll for me. I rolled a 10 and he rolled a 1, so modifiers really don't matter. This guy's destroyed. This guy gives me 3 experience points. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. And he gives me 2 adventure cards. There's not many creatures that actually give you adventure cards as rewards, but he's one of them. So I'm going to draw 2 adventure cards and go on to my recovery phase, because I have safely made it to this waypoint. So we look at my hand here. I've found a quest for vengeance. Quest cards are used to earn experience in alternative ways instead of just fighting creatures. So for here I'd have to go all the way to Donetsk, which is near the bottom of this map here, to get that. That's not going to happen in time for me to become a Legend of Novus. I found some large treasure which I can cash in at the beginning of any phase, and reassess my combat score real quick. So we talked about that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sitting at 16 XP now. So at 16 XP I have a +4. So 4, 5, 6 we're at. 6 plus 2 is 10. 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. And 11 plus 8 brings me to 19. So Shandrill has a whopping 19 combat strength now. She can really give this demon Asmakai a run for his money. He's a +23, but she does have a chance against him, and that's what we're aiming for. But might be better to fight the worm first. End of my recovery phase, won't do anything. My turn comes to an end, and we're at the start of my next turn. At the start of turn 13, I'm going to cash in this large treasure to gain 25 pieces of money, and I'm going to spend that 25 pieces of money to draw an adventure card. So we have drawn a caravan, and that's the kind of event I was talking about. Getting a travel event will help me get across the globe a little faster if I really needed to. This one lets me go to any location on the map and follow that location's effects. So that is perfect if I want to use this hunting lance against a monstrosity or dragon. Alright, but we're talking too much. Down south, we're going to go fight this jungle worm instead of the demon right now. This jungle worm is a little bit easier to contend with, provided he doesn't spit me out. So Jubergon the jungle worm has a 12 attack power, which I am stronger than. That's great. But he gets a chance to swallow me. You can see that action die symbol there. I add my XP to this roll, and if the result is less than 15, I am swallowed and get sent to the Tropics of Delmeria. So we're going to roll my action die here. I rolled a 4 and I add my experience of 16, which you can see here if I zoom in a bit. Add my 16, so I have a 20. And you might think, well, why'd you even bother rolling? You already had higher than 15, and he says you succeed on higher than 15. The reason is if I roll a 1, that's a critical fail, and this guy would have got me, just like I failed in battle earlier. So that's okay. On to combat with this guy. So he is going to get a plus 12. I am going to get just my base, my plus 19. I say just, but that's a pretty whopping number. So that means he's going to get basically his die roll, and I'm going to get my die roll plus 7, because that's the difference, my 19 to his 12. So round 1, plus 7, he's been defeated. Round 2. That is not a number, so we're going to re-roll that. Alright, so he has been defeated. He didn't stand much of a chance. I've really gained in power this game. So when I defeat him, I gain my 3 experience points. 1, 2, 3, bringing me up to 19. If you look at the chart here, that doesn't give me any more bonus. And we'll put Juragan into my pile of accomplishments here. I'm just going to scale them down. And he also gives me 2 reward cards. So draw those. 1 and 2. Found ourselves some new leather boots and a cloak. So that is good. We're on to our recovery phase, and we found a few things in our travels defeating this mighty creature. I cheated, actually. I'm going to have to take away 1 turn spot because I would have had to get there on 1 turn, which I did, and then explore there on a different turn. Alright, we're not going to go back in time there, but I might have defeated a creature and gotten more experience. Anyway, so we skip a turn ahead. Still at the end of the Juragan turn, I'm going to equip this pair of boots. Gives me a plus 1 attack, up to plus 20. And this Cloak of Concealment gives me extra escape. Lets me wear armor on top or underneath it, depending on how you look at it. And I get a plus 1 combat, because it helps me just kind of be harder to find, camouflage. So up to 21 attack power. That is a fantastic number at this stage in the game. We're on finishing turn 14 because I kind of cheated there and accidentally skipped an explore phase to fight Juragan. So, and let's see, how do we get somewhere? This event can only be played during my preparation phase for 20 gold. Ooh, I don't have 20 gold because I bought stuff. I never looked at that. Ooh. Okay. So anyway, we'll end turn 14. Recovery phase, nothing to equip. I don't have any actions that let me travel the board right now. So if we look, I'm only got my 10 GP, so here's a perfect example of why it might have been a good idea to save my money instead of buying an adventure, even though that adventure was something useful. So I can travel 2 map markers. I cannot make it to the demon. I cannot make it to the dragon, so I'm not going to become a Legend of Novus this game. But I could still become a champion of Novus, just not as fast and furious as you need to be a legend. So because of that, I'm going to travel south and fight the dragon. So 1, 2, roll the travel die. Oopsie, I think I lost it. The travel die says a reward. Draw a reward card. Found myself a mighty helmet. No class restrictions. Gives me plus 2 combat. We'll pop that helmet on. So we're up to good combat value now. 23. Almost ready to be on par with this dragon. See, he is at 25. And that is the end of that turn. So turn 15 comes to an end, and I'm not a Legend of Novus. Turn 16 begins. Travel 1, 2 spots, and roll that travel die wherever I put it. Travel die says safe travels. I get 10 GP, and I arrive safely in nowhere. So at this point, I am on the end of turn 16, starting turn 17, and I'm going to use this caravan. So I'm going to pop that on there, pay my 20 gold. When I pay that 20 gold, I can move my player to any location on the map and follow its effects. What it means by that is if I went to Braille and I wasn't a priest yet, it's not an explore effect, so I would gain that effect right away. I'm going to the Claw of Kedar. When you get to the Claw of Kedar, we'll pull that up on the... I haven't pulled up this location guide much for you. But Claw of Kedar is the dragon's homeland. So in the Claw of Kedar, you have to explore there to fight the dragon. And if the dragon's been defeated, which not likely to happen in many games, but if it was, or the dragon got disappeared, then the someone that explores there would get some extra money. Okay, so I made it here, which means that's the end of turn 17. Now I'm on to turn 18. I explore to fight Monsignius. Monsignius, the volcanic dragon, has a rolling effect. So again, that D10 symbol says fiery breath. I have to roll a die and add my XP, and if the result is less than 25, I take some severe burn damage and fight a little bit less well as I would. So I'm going to add 19 to this roll. 4 plus 19 is 23. I had to get 25. Oh, that's painful. So I take some severe burn damage and I have a -5 for my roll. So I'm actually going to reduce this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, since it's probably the last combat of the game. This hunting lance I could save and just use after the rolls, but given the time of the game, I'm just going to play it just to make life easier here. So then I'm going to get +10. So 18, we're actually going to put it on here this turn to show we're up to 28 combat for this battle only. That's not a permanent thing, that's just against Monsignius. So my +28 against Monsignius is +25. I can't escape the battle, not that I wanted to anyway. Which means my net gain is a +3 against Monsignius. He's the red die, this is me, and we'll see if Shandrill, even though not a Legend of Novus, because he's caused so much devastation that she can't get to that point, she can still take him down with her undead ally, the Stone Sentinel, her wolfen companion, her mighty spirit hammer, a heavy helmet, a leather boots, cloak, all working together against this dragon. Alright. So, grab both of these dice, and we'll roll them separate. So Monsignius, roll your die. Monsignius has a 2. I have a 9. He has been defeated in the first round of battle. Second round of battle. Monsignius has a 1. I have a 10. You have gone down in epic glory, my friend. Shandrill has defeated you. So, congratulations, Shandrill. You gained 7 experience, bringing you up to 26. Not that you needed it. And you would get the victory conditions as well. 5 rewards, 50 gold pieces. Monsignius joins the Fallen. And there you have it. That was a solo play using all of the newest, greatest images, graphic design and art on the majority of these cards. Has been by Andrea Butera. Some of them still have placement art. But if you go to our website, legendsofnovus.com, any of the art you see on the website is owned by the game. Anything you don't see on the website that was in this game is temporary art just to show you what we'd like the game to look like. And Andrea is dedicated to completing all that art once we get this Kickstarter funded, launching on February 19th. So hope you had fun exploring the world of Novus again with me. Shandrill had a really good journey across the world. Almost made it in time. If we look at, I was at the end of turn 18 when that happened, so 3 turns short of becoming a Legend of Novus, but a champion of Novus nonetheless. Solo play, you want to be able to not win every time. I mean, if you won as a Legend of Novus every time, the game would get pretty boring pretty fast. We had some epic battles, fought some epic creatures, and ready to try it again another day. So until then, have a great day, have a great week, and thanks for watching Legends of Novus.